Hello, my friend. We've heard a lot about homemade sauerkraut, and we're also hearing about how fermented foods are so healthy for you. So I finally broke down and did it. I decided it was my turn to try making homemade sauerkraut because I've been telling people it's really not that hard. I've been making kombucha for a long time, and I love to make that, and that's also a healthy drink. I got some sauerkraut at the health food store that had cucumbers, onions, and some dill, and it tasted so amazing. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna try this. So I saved a little bit from the health food store. It was the unpasteurized sauerkraut, so it has the probiotics in it, and I decided to use that as my starter. Today we're going to talk about how to make homemade sauerkraut and the benefits of sauerkraut. So, making sauerkraut.
All right, so this is my first batch of homemade sauerkraut. So if you look here, you can see I've put, this is one whole head of cabbage, one whole onion, and 2 cucumbers sliced, and then a tablespoon and a half of pickling salt, and you just stir it all together and put it in the jar. And what I've done is I've put some stones in the top so that the sauerkraut or the kraut is down below and just the juice is on top. And I'll cover that here. We will watch this and I will return and tell you how it goes. It sounds like from the instructions I found on the internet that you can make your sauerkraut in about 4 days. You can start tasting it. And when it gets the tangy amount that you like, that is when you would refrigerate it. And the cool thing about sauerkraut is a few tablespoons of homemade sauerkraut or sauerkraut that hasn't been heat treated, and you have the same probiotics you would have in a whole capsule of probiotics. So even just taking a little of the juice is good for an upset stomach. Anyways, there's just a lot of history behind sauerkraut, and I just wanted to try making some. This is, well, day 2, not quite 48 hours. It's the morning of the second day making sauerkraut. And last night I came out and I had a puddle all around my jars. They were sitting on the counter, so the puddle was back there underneath the canister set. So they're bubbling. And then I'll let you see here. See, they're making bubbles. And so I put them on these plates. Hopefully I can dump the plates often enough that it will. And that rock looks funky, but the rock is going down and the liquid is coming up. Anyways, that's progress, day 2. So this is day 3. I'm really excited. Our sauerkraut, I do believe, is done. I've tasted this one. And I'm going to take the rock out of this one. And then one of the things I wanted to show you, see how full that jar is? I'm going to put this spatula in here and hear the air. It's got little air bubbles all in it. And it's really nice and sour. And that's just 3 days. Of course, our house is pretty warm. We run a wood heat, so the house stays a nice temperature. But anyways, there we are. We have fresh sauerkraut. Thank you for tuning in. Send us your comments.
The health benefits of sauerkraut. Raw sauerkraut versus cooked sauerkraut. So when you make your sauerkraut, you have the good bacteria that you've grown, and you can make it on your own, start your own starter, or you can use a store-bought starter to get you started and make sure you get the right bacteria going. And since I wanted to put some other vegetables in with my sauerkraut, I wanted to make sure I had the right bacteria growing. Cooked sauerkraut versus uncooked sauerkraut. So raw sauerkraut is where you have your probiotics. Once you cook it, the probiotics are gone, but you're still eating really healthy vegetables. So, and there's no It's a non-caloric food with a lot of flavor. So there's that. And it's amazing with hot dogs or brats on the side with ham. But when I'm eating just sauerkraut or everyday sauerkraut and I'm not having those other kinds of meals, I just put a little in a bowl right out of the fridge and it's crispy and fresh and crunchy. I just really enjoy it. It's like having another fresh vegetable. There's really good bacterias for you in the fermented foods. They can cause a little stomach upset or maybe some bloating if you're not used to eating raw foods, so they're going to kind of go in that category. If that's the case, you want to start taking a probiotic that has prebiotics as well because it works down in the lower part of the intestine. Also, if you're struggling with GERD, you might use some apple cider vinegar in a glass of water for a while and kind of get your GERD under control. But once you do that, then the fermented foods, they'll do really well for you. I'm Mary with Powerline Health, where healthy living is the power to move mountains. And thank you for coming alongside us. We hope that you will subscribe to our channel and we'll do our best to only bring you interesting stuff.